19 house sitting. I got this job working in a really nice house for a rich guy, Ramon, because I taught summer school with his stepdaughter, Marlena, last year. I've always loved Marlena. She's a great mom and she's really good with her students. The guy has 6 dogs, all well over 100 pounds except for 1 and 3 cats, all of which are to be fed twice a day, and all of the dogs take lots of medicine. My main contact here and the lady who sometimes just shows up to see how things are going is Ramon's sister-in-law Susie. Susie is a funny old lady with a bit of a snarky attitude who gets pretty easily upset. Yesterday I went to church with my fiancé and his baby, and when I got back to town I got a text from Marlena, who is in Hawaii right now with her sick father. She said that this whole thing started for her at 5 in the morning because of the time difference of 5 hours. Apparently around 10 o'clock, right after I left, the fire alarm at the house went off. Marlena started telling me all the things Susie said were wrong with the house. The dog beds have been torn up and not cleaned up for days, the alarm system was pulled out of the wall, there's a smoke detector missing, the water bowls are never full, the cats aren't being fed, they don't think I'm letting the dogs out or feeding them. The list goes on. Marlena was clearly upset and kept bringing up how good care her mom took care of the house and how that house is all she has left of her mother. Even with all of that, she kept a very professional tone and wasn't hateful. I came back to the house to find nothing wrong. Just a note on the counter from Susie that said you need to call me and clean this house. Now, I did grow up in a messy house, but this one was not. There were a few empty bottles on the counter I'm collecting for another teacher friend who is doing a recycling project with her summer school groups, and a paper plate with the spoon and fork and knife that are used for the dog food. Susie told Marlena there was food all over the house and dirty laundry everywhere. I thought the dogs must have got in my room and scattered my clothes, but there was none. One pair of clean leggings sitting folded on the dryer and a towel on the couch I used to wipe dog drool. Basically Susie made it out like the house was a pigsty. The dog bed was tore up. I clean it up every day at lunchtime. I picked it up as usual, threw the towel in the washing machine and was about to call Susie when she walked in the door. She was livid. Kept asking me if this is how I keep a house, and saying the dog water has to be changed 3 times a day and that the cats weren't being fed and that she didn't even think I was feeding the dogs and she doesn't know if I've been giving them the right medicine and that I don't feed them at the right time, and all sorts of accusations about the care of the animals and complaints about how the housekeeper gets paid $300 every 2 weeks to clean the house and it still looks dirty. Then she says it's not my fault the dog bed was tore up. It's not my fault the alarm was pulled off the wall, and it's not my fault the smoke detector is missing, and it's not my fault ODP's in the house, but I just can't let him in the living room anymore, which we had already established, and he hasn't been in the living room in 2 weeks. Up until this point this job has been going really well, but this had me pretty rattled. Susie ended her rant by saying she knows these animals are a lot to take care of, but if it's too overwhelming for me to let her know so they can find someone else. I just don't understand how she can list all of those things as not your fault and then still be mad at me. This job began by being told about the last 4 crazy house sitters they had, and I'm beginning to think maybe the house sitters weren't the crazy ones after all. I called my mom almost crying because I hate being confrontational or even speaking during those kinds of conversations because I'm afraid it will be taken as argumentative or disrespectful, but I obviously need to say something or quit. I told her about both conversations and said I didn't know what to do. I had also told Susie a long time ago, and I know I told her because I remember the whole conversation and the other things we talked about concerning the Navy, that I will be gone 3 days this week for my sister's Navy boot camp graduation. She stormed out before I could remind her, so I sent her a text after I got off the phone with my mom. Her responses were completely childish. She said she didn't remember that conversation and I must have told Marlena and not her. I said I was sure I told her, but it could have been Marlena. It wasn't Marlena. And then she texted, what days will I be gone exactly? I told her the times I was leaving and which day if be back. Her response was, oh wow, so I'm screwed. It's fine, I'll figure something out. Whatever. Why is a woman in her 60s texting me like she's 13 and I just ditched her for our weekend plans after the conversation we just had? I could understand she's probably still upset, but it still seemed snarky to me. Father's Day is this Sunday and my dad passed when I was in high school, so my mom took me to go get ice cream, and while we were there I showed her the text messages and explained everything in better detail about the conversations I had with Marlena and Susie. She said to remember it's not my house and I have to do things the way they would like, even if that means keeping the dog water in a Ziploc bag. She said the main issue making her want to go into mama bear mode was that they were talking to me like I was 15 and hadn't cleaned my room in a month when I'm an adult doing my best. I told her Susie is always kind of snarky, but it's even when she's not mad, and she said that there was nothing about her text response that was anything other than snarky and hateful. I told my mom I thought I should quit before they tell people I'm not responsible or something and I get a bad reputation like the other house sitters. She said it would probably be worse if I quit. The problem is I can't let Susie speak to me that way anymore. She shouldn't be speaking to anyone that way. I need to confront her about it or tell Ramon. I just don't want to be an asshole. I mean, can I say don't talk to me that way without being an asshole? I haven't taken my antidepressants anxiety medication in over 2 weeks. Me and my fiancé even celebrated that I got off of it, but now I'm all anxious again and paranoid that she's gonna show up and yell at me again. I don't know if confronting them would even fix the problem. Would it just make me the asshole?